I'm focused on this theory cause it keeps me from this fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, hello. This is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Teen News. Hello. Welcome to Black Teen News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about my trip to the White House. I got back, of course, I guess it was Saturday, and I think it was late Friday, and I didn't get to stream yesterday because when I was here, but I was still pretty under the weather. You can still kind of hear it in my uh voice a bit, so I'm not 100%, but I don't think I'll probably going into a coughing spasm today, and hopefully that's not the case. And I really didn't want to get super behind on the news, and I know I said I would talk about my trip, and I wanted to stay true to that. So that's what I want to talk about today. If we have time, I'll get to some other things. I don't want to like go too long because I don't want to in case I my voice can't take it or whatever. But I think I'm over the hump. But it was I did have like a rough time on the way back home because I had a very bad sinus headache. So thankfully my other two sisters were able to drive, and we got some people in here today. Hey, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? So it was oh gosh, I'm sorry to hear, Bailey, that you're at the hospital. Hope your husband is okay. Is something recoverable and not too serious. And hear my prayers. Hope everything is okay. So hello to everyone in the chat watching live on Facebook and on YouTube, and any stragglers who may come in on Twitch. Sometimes we get people on Twitch popping in. And so hello to you guys. Good to be back. Good to see you guys in the chat and to talk to you guys. Been anxious to do that for some time. And thank you to those of you who are going to watch back later. Before we hop into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. If you not like what I do here, you guys can leave a donation on the website because it does cost to stream and run the site and all that good stuff. So you guys can support. I very much appreciate you guys, and I appreciate all that you guys do, and make it worth getting up and streaming all the time. So thank you very much for being here and being attentive, and your comments, and your encouragement and your prayers, and just everything. I really, really appreciate you guys. You guys can also check out different merch and stuff that's available on my website. You guys can check out different t-shirts. You guys can check out different books that I've written. I have 18 altogether that are published. When we were on our trip, my sister was still working on the illustrations for the bigger book, and she's painting and stuff while we were driving on the turnpike. So I'm looking forward to more things coming out for you guys to be able to see and to read, and I'll keep you guys, of course, up to date with all that stuff. There's a link in the description. It'll take you to an Amazon page with some of my books and stuff, and for any of the merch, you guys can see that stuff on the website, of course. So I have another announcement. This weekend, this is for if anyone's in Michigan, or I guess they like to travel. My church has been putting on, yes, last year was our first gala event, but for a few years now, we've been raising money and giving donations to a local pregnancy crisis center. So last year we started or the women's ministry started putting on this gala where we, do some there's some comedy sketches and there's music, worship music and things. So it's a gala, so you dress formally and stuff, and there's an MC and there's food, and it's at a really nice place. So this year our banquet is it's this Saturday, and we still have tickets available. So if there's anyone who's willing or available who want to go, who's like I said, in the Michigan area, it'll be in the southeast area in Pontiac at the Lafayette Grand. And the tickets, I think adults are $40, and it's for a good cause. We buy with the proceeds, we buy diapers and uh, baths and you know um, all kinds of stuff, what the different things that are on the list for the Pregnancy Crisis Center. So a lot of people talk about the pro-life community and they're like, oh, you guys aren't doing enough for women. And what about why you guys don't help anybody? If people don't know that the pro-life community does a lot of charitable things to help women in need, I guess it's because they don't desire to know better. But oh gosh, my voice is already doing the weird thing. Give me 1 second. Gosh, oh, I need a second. Ugh. I thought I was good, guys. I thought I was good. Maybe it's just the talking. Ooh. Maybe it's just the talking. So I'll try not to be too long today, guys. I'm probably not gonna go an hour. But anything that's on the list we try to get for the center. So if you would like to go, you guys can go. So I'll post the link on my socials, on YouTube community page and on Facebook, and I'll put it on Twitter too, and I'll post it on the flyer on Instagram. Whew. So I'll post that and take lots of vitamins and things like that to try to get ready for Saturday, because I am supposed to sing, but there will be other singers besides myself. It's not all on me. But the funny thing is, last year I was also sick around this time, and I sang. I just didn't sing. Breathe through my diaphragm. That's what my sister's saying. Okay. It's probably good advice. So, ooh, probably good advice. So, give me 1 second again. I feel better. Okay. So, I could only sing like like falsetto in my and I couldn't really sing like for my chest voice, but it was all still very lovely, and we had a good time. Ooh, Laura's watching from Canada. I wish I was well. Ooh. So we were going to be going through a struggle session. I didn't think it would be a struggle session today. I'm like, I think I could do it. I think I could do it. But ooh, for those of you who don't know, I've been sick for I guess past 2 weeks, and thought I was like over the hump. But I'm like, oh, my throat feels kind of okay. Let me try today. So I got to talking, and it wasn't up to snuff. And so we already struggling, but we gonna try to get through the story and the commentary today. Not super long. The only thing I kind of want to talk about is the White House stuff, because I really want to talk about how the View and other folks are saying things like Christian you it's like anti-Christian to be anti-woke. And so I got to talk about that, but I'm going to reserve that. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be all good to go and ready to go on my rants that you guys love so much, because I can't be coughing and hacking while trash and sunny. I gotta be ready to go. But it's just really insane, because the things that they preach with wokeness are contrary to the gospel, certainly. But we'll have to table that till later. hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow. I think I'm gonna be getting another coffee fit. I'm gonna have to table tomorrow's too, but we'll claim better in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. So anyway, before moving on again, if you would like to go to the event this Saturday, I will post the information in my socials if you can. That'd be great. If you can't and you still want to donate, you guys can still buy tickets or sponsor a table or something like that. And I guess we'll give tickets or whatever. So yeah, so it's a really good cause. It's something that I love that our church is doing. My youngest sister Tina, she's been on my show before, but she's the one who does the art stuff. I brag on her all the time. I show her stuff all the time. She's the one who did my artwork for, of course, God is Against Abortion. Let me pull that up real quick. She's the one working on my art for my bigger project, and she's just really, it was the Lord laid upon her heart to do this. As far as the pregnancy crisis center stuff and the women's ministry, they wanted to do this gala to raise money and toward the proceeds and stuff going toward our life drive, which is in June, because we decided that life month wasn't that June wasn't going to be Pride month, it was going to be life month. So that's what we're looking forward to. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. And let's go ahead and talk about the things that you guys are obviously here to listen to. So on last Thursday, I went to the White House. I left on Wednesday and we drove out there. And I had a really good time on Wednesday too. We drove in the car. My sister started, my oldest sister Gina started, and then I finished the drive. She was on the phone with somebody like, I drove halfway. And we were at a turnpike, welcome center. And I looked at the map. I'm like, we still in Ohio. She ain't drive no halfway. Like Ohio is like really big to drive through. And like if you drive through Ohio, you're basically halfway or wherever the heck you want to go. But we were not she did not drive halfway. But she drove a good chunk of it, don't get me wrong. But but she did drive more than halfway on the way back because I was really sick. So anyway, I just thought it was funny. So after we got in, we to Virginia is where we stayed. We went to the president of BCF, the Black Conservative Federation, his house, and he had a gathering of some folks over for dinner who were coming into town for the event. So it was good. It was good fellowship, and we were talking politics. And it's funny. I don't want to get to like too much of like personal information of who said what or whatever. But it's just interesting getting into conversations about politics from people who all believe the same stuff, people who support the same person, but we all have different perspectives and we're debating different things. Like one thing that we were debating was the conversations about the Doge checks because Elon Musk was talking about, hey, let's take 20% of the money that we're saving with all of the Doge stuff from all this cutting and give that back to the American people. Now, most people are like, check, sure, that sounds great. I would love a check to pay for eggs, to pay my rent. Like COVID money, that's what I did. I paid my bills. That's what I did. So I know a lot of people went to Nike, went to Converse, like those kinds of stores, Champs, those stores in the mall during like COVID era were always on and popping because people were buying merch. There are people who got work done, talking about butts and breasts and all that stuff. And one day I was in the store, overheard this woman talk about how, because they gave everybody money, including like you got money for each kid or whatever. And she's like, well, the money is my son, so he wanted a hoverboard, so that's what I'm going to use the money for because it's his money, So some people were like in dire situations, being out of work or whatever, and they use it for bills. And other people, I guess they were pumping the economy, buying like stuff that they didn't need, but hey, they had the access to the capital because we were giving it out. So yeah, people will take checks if you send it out. But my thing was we have major debt, and it's gonna just seem like it's just a ploy to pay off people. if we're just sending him out checks. And maybe it's a good move to bribe folks, but this Doge stuff isn't going to matter in the long run if we don't cut spending too. So I don't think it's a good idea. I'm not saying I won't take a check if they send it to my house and I'm not going to pay my rent. I'm not saying that. But I don't think it's overall probably a good idea. So anyway, we were debating like things like that, and we started debating other things as well. And I was there. Sorry, I was there pretty late. So then we went, to our hotel, went to sleep, and next day we got ready to go to the White House and stuff. So the event, I don't know when. I think the doors opened at like 1:30. So we took a lift to the DC area, like kind of right by the White House gate where we would have to go through security and stuff. But they weren't checking people at the time. So we're like, okay, well, let's go somewhere to be warm. So there was a cafe like right by the area. So I went into the cafe with my two sisters, and lo and behold, someone very interesting was in the cafe. So me and my sisters were sitting down. My oldest sister got some coffee. Me and my youngest sister Tina we were sitting down, and we were just waiting for her. I didn't want any coffee and whatever, and we had just had breakfast not too long ago, so I was just kind of waiting. And then I saw someone walk in, and I'm like, Tina, is that Alex O'Connor? And she looks and she's like, maybe that kind of looks like him. And I'm pretty positive it's Alex O'Connor. And if you don't know who Alex O'Connor is a very famous atheist, or he might refer to himself as an agnostic, but I've talked about him lately because he was supposed to go to a debate at DebateCon and debate David Wood about whether Jesus claimed to be God. And Alex ended up dropping out because he was concerned about security, how safe it would be, and there were different threats that had happened. Like one of the debaters was threatened by a Muslim debater, and then they ended up scrapping him, but and replacing him. But he was concerned, so he dropped out. And it was like 2 weeks before the event, and I was thinking about going and stuff myself, but I just kind of couldn't make it happen. But there's been a lot of chatter since he dropped out, and a lot of people were talking about it, and I was one of those people who was talking about it. Also, like, wrote an article about it. I don't think it was too harsh or anything, but it was just saying what people were saying. And which I think David Wood was he had defended Alex O'Connor's position before of like not being too aggressive toward Islam and Muslims and stuff, because he's a young atheist kid. Like, he doesn't believe in an afterlife. If he's martyred, like, this is all the life he has. And as far as like standing up for the UK and trying to save their country, like the adults aren't willing to save their country. Like, so how is this kid gonna do it? So so he's defended him in the past, but at the same time, he did kind of feel like, bro, if you're gonna trash Christianity, like, we're the ones like standing in the way of the barbarians basically taking over. And so he I don't know, I think he had a pretty neutral take. There's a lot of people really dunking on Alex. I don't feel like David was dunking in the way that David really could dunk, but there was this controversy surrounding it. So I just thought it was interesting because I was talking about him recently, and before that I was also he was on Jubilee, so I talked a little bit about that, and I talked about a video of his where he was talking about it doesn't make sense that Christians are basically sad when loved ones die if you believe you're going to see them again. I'm like simplifying it for time, but I had mentioned recently that I thought that argument was really bad before, but after losing my mom, it just was like really astronomically out there. But so I've mentioned him before, but he has over 1 million followers, so he's very, very famous, at least online famous. But he's debated um the Clonets, Cliff and Stewart. He's debated Craig Lane. He's debated Frank Turek. He's debated Ben Shapiro. Um, he's debated a lot of folks, and he's Jordan Peterson. So he's pretty famous. So I was like, I think that's Alex O'Connor. And so she's like looking at Google pictures to try to verify if that's like the same face that we're seeing in front of us. And he's like ordering stuff with a girl, and I'm trying to listen to whether or not I could hear an accent. And he's talking kind of too low. And I'm just like, screw it. So I just go up to him and I'm like, "Are you Alex O'Connor?" And he says yes. And so I say, "Oh, I watched, I've seen some of your stuff, and I was really looking forward to you debating David Wood at DebateCon." And so he's like, "Oh, were you planning to go to that?" I said, "Oh, well, I've been really busy, traveling. I wanted to, but I just couldn't make it work because I was in DC for the inauguration, and now I'm back here again, so it's just kind of too much traveling." And he's like, "You're going to the White House?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're going inside the White House?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's for the Black History Month event." So I start pointing to my sisters. I'm like, that sister there worked, for the Trump campaign. She was head of like urban engagement and stuff, doing like coalition stuff. And so, yeah, I said, this is my actually third time going to the White House. So I just thought it was interesting. He gets to do all these interesting, really cool things. And he's all like, "You're going into the White House?" So, he reiterated that he was concerned about like security, the safety with the debate con and stuff. I said, he said he was still like thinking about doing a virtual debate for the topic of did Jesus claim to be God. But he did say that some of the coverage kind of rubbed him the wrong way. So he said he didn't know if he was going to do it with David. And I said, "Oh, well, I really would like for you to do it with David. I just thought it would be interesting because David Wood, he used to be an atheist. And so when he was in prison, he ran into this guy, a Christian who turned himself in. And he knew his stuff because David had like typical Reddit tier atheist kind of remarks and rebuttals or whatever. And this guy, Randy, knew the answers to that stuff. So he was able to rebut David. And then David ended up converting. And then I'm like, so he converted there. And then the same things that he tried to use against Randy, his friend who was a Muslim, Nabil, tried to use against David. So it's just a really interesting story. He's like, yeah, he's an interesting guy. Or he might have said he's a fascinating guy. And in his accent, And I said, "Oh, he has one of the most interesting conversion stories I've ever heard in my life." And so I said I was surprised to see him. And so he was there with his girl, and his girl's from DC. And I guess he came to New York for some reason, for something. And so they decided to come to DC. And so it was just a really small world that I ran into Alex O'Connor, who had nothing to do with the event that I was going to, but he just happened to be there. So um oh gosh, they're gonna have to sign in. Just okay, I have to log in. But yeah, that's the photo uh with Alex. Let me see. I have to, I guess, log in real quick. I didn't realize that they wouldn't just kind of like uh pop it and let me do stuff. But it was really cool. He was very nice. Very which he doesn't seem not nice when he debates and talks to people and has conversations. Like a lot of debates that you see online are just really annoying. Really annoying. But he seemed pretty nice. So it was a short, good conversation. And I hope he does really do that debate. And hope maybe I even influenced him. I don't know. In that short amount of time. But here we go. Here we go. I'm logged in. So now I can, yeah. So photo with me and Alex O'Connor at just in that little cafe. So I'm 5'8", by the way, if people want to gauge how tall some people are. Abel said, "I need to take some vitamin C and zinc." That is very, very true. I need to do that. So anyway, that was the first pretty really cool thing. I mean, the night before was neat with different conversations I was having, but I can't get into a lot of personal stuff. Um, with some of the things I was talking about, but yeah. So after that, we went into the line, and they checked, whether they checked our emails for our invitations, and then that first level of security was that they let us in a gate, and then they had people checking our IDs. They checked our IDs, and then we went to another level and they checked our IDs again. And then we went to like another level, and they just checked the dogs, like sniffed us real quick, and then they went into the check your pockets and the bags for, empty out your coats, go through the metal detector. So there's a couple different levels of security. They're like, do not take photos. Someone was about to snap a photo. They're like, there's a sign that says do not take any pictures, because I'm sure they don't want everybody to know how detailed their security is to get into those different places or whatever. And they're like, "Oh my gosh." And we start making jokes about like people like bursting in from the ceilings to arrest people who were trying to take pictures. But when I was outside, I noticed someone behind me. I knew they were famous. I knew they were an influencer, and I knew I had seen their videos, but I just didn't know their name. And they were I told my sister, I'm like, "Hey, that's an influencer." Um and that tall guy behind us. And so she didn't know that who I was talking about. She thought I was talking about another tall guy who was also an influencer who she recognized from TikTok. And so we were talking about two different influencer guys. And the one I was talking about was like um David David Harris Jr. So David Harris Jr. was like right behind me in the line. And when we got to the White House, I'm like, "Yeah, that tall guy." And she's like, "Oh, I thought you were talking about that tall guy. This is Jeff Mead." I'm like, "Jeff Mead is here?" And so I turned, and Jeff Mead was there. If you don't know Jeff Mead has a very big following on TikTok, and he's starting to branch out on other platforms on YouTube and stuff. Um, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he does have a very big following. He gets a huge amount of views and stuff on his content. But man, oh man, Jeff Mead is like monstrously tall. He is monstrously tall. Um, he's huge. He is huge. So, see if I can try to share my screen, but I don't know why it's so small. That's O'Connor. So that's Jeff Mead is really, really tall. I don't know why that's so small. Um, but I'm 5'8", and he's like towering over me. He's towering over me. And I'm like, "Man," and I'm not wearing heels, but they're not like super flat shoes, but man, I just couldn't believe how tall he was. So he was there. We took pictures with him. We took pictures with Congressman John James, who I know John James. He's from Michigan. He ran for Senate twice. He was very mum on what he's going to do, but he seems very much like he's going to run for. I don't know. I don't. There's a position of governor that's going to be open. So that's a rumor that John James is going to run for governor. There's also a rumor that he's going. I guess he could run for Senate again. That would be the third time. I don't know if he had his pick of like being home though. Just knowing John, I think he would rather, if he's going to do a statewide and he had the opportunity to do the work and be home in Michigan, I think he would rather run for governor. And that I'm not saying I've heard him say that, because again, he was mum. He was just kind of like, stay tuned. But from other kind of rumblings that I've heard, um, he might be considering a run for governor. So we saw John James there, and someone that I did know, but I didn't know personally, like I've never met them before, was AK here. And so I've seen his TikToks a lot. We follow each other on Twitter. I brought him on to talk about some of Minnesota politics. And he's actually like involved, like a lot of influencers will talk about the national stuff. He's actually involved in his state politics. So I very much appreciate that. He knows the ins and out, and he's working very hard to try to fight in his blue state. And so he was a really nice, cool guy to meet in person. So he was someone that I actually like knew, that I got to meet. And so we were like in I guess we're in the White House at this point. There's a photo here of me and some of my friends, good friend of mine, Jamie, my sister Tina behind me. We're in the room, the very crowded room, waiting for Donald Trump to come and speak. On the way out, I met Topher. Topher shared one of my videos very early on. I think he shared it when I had maybe shared it on it was on TikTok, and that he had reposted it. And I actually have reached out to Topher for like a collab, but he didn't get back with me. But that was some years ago. That's maybe like 3 years ago. I want to say it was probably by 14th Amendment with Joe Biden said no rights are absolute, no amendments to the Constitution is absolute. And so I like pull up the 13th Amendment, and then it's just like flashing like slavery stuff and a bunch of racist stuff that Joe Biden said. So it's a pretty funny video if you haven't seen it. But that was one of my like first very viral videos. And so I'm pretty sure that that was the one that he shared. And people were tagging me like, this is Black Tea News. This is, she's the one who did it. So Topher does he like conservative music and stuff and Christian music and stuff. So I met Topher on the way out. Who else did I see there? Judge Joe Brown. I met Judge Joe Brown coming out of the White House. So that was us on the way out there. So he's like, I'm retired now. I'm ready to get to work. Tell me what to do. And so you've probably, I mean, if you haven't seen Judge Joe Brown like doing actual judge things, you've probably seen viral videos of him talking about Kamala Harris and sticking for Donald Trump, and how in videos of him talking about how Donald Trump isn't a racist, and sticking up for Trump and stuff. So it was cool to see him at the White House. Someone asked about Terrence K. Williams. Terrence, I did see him. I did get a chance to talk to him. I met him the first time I came to the White House. And so I do have a picture with him somewhere. I just don't have, we didn't talk there. I saw him. So when we got into the very crowded room, I was near the front, but not near enough that that you could see a lot, because there's a bunch of tall people, man, and I'm not a short person, but Jeff Bean, he was like in front of folks. He wasn't directly in front of me, but I don't know, he's like 6'5", 6'6", except I mean like Barron Trump tall. And then there's other really tall people. David Harris Jr. isn't short either. He's tall, not as tall as Jeff Mead, but he's tall. And there's other tall folks. And people come in there and they're all like raising their phones. They're all raising their phones. So Terrence was right in front of everybody. Like I can he posted a video. If some of these videos that like David has posted, and maybe even that Terrence has posted, you may see me spotted because I'm not that far back. I'm kind of like I'm not in the middle. I'm of the room. I'm still kind of near the front, off to the right. So you could probably spot me, and I've seen myself in some of their videos, but he was right up front. So I don't know if they got the heads up like, hey, everybody's starting to filter in there, or just from experience they knew to go in there. I was still like taking pictures in the White House and chatting with folks before I didn't even get to the room with the food yet. And then they started ushering us like, hey, Trump's gonna come. We need to start moving people into the room. And so I'm like, okay, they're moving people into the room. Okay, so me and my sister Tina, we were together. Gina was off somewhere, and so we went in the room. So we got a good spot. If I had known that Trump wasn't going to show up for another 2 hours, I probably would not have gone in there immediately. Probably would not have gone in there immediately. Um, and I don't think they should have heard it and said like 2 hours. Like Trump is always late. Shame on me. Um, but I'm glad I was wearing flats. But it was just you guys can still tell that I'm sick. And I eventually needed to like leave the room because I needed some water. I need to use the bathroom too, but I just had like a terrible kind of itching in my throat. I just like I need some water. So someone in front of me, this was like around like 4 o'clock, and they're like, Trump has another meeting. He's late. He's not gonna get here at least till 4:30. And I don't know who this man was, but he just talked with such authority that I kind of just believed him. And so I was like, okay, she's not gonna be there for like another 30 minutes. I have to go to the bathroom and I have to like get some water. And so everyone's like, you're leaving out, you're leaving out. I'm like, I have to go for a little bit. I'll try to come back or whatever. So I go, you have to go downstairs. The bathroom was in like this first lady dining area, not dining area, like a living room where they have all these pictures of like no, not all the first ladies, but it's a special room with like different pictures of different first ladies or whatever. And then they have like a ladies room in there. So I have to go downstairs and go in that bathroom and come back upstairs. And then I got something to drink and I started chit chatting a little bit. And then Trump like walked by. It was not gonna take another 30 minutes because it was like maybe 7 minutes from the time that I left. And because we just saw all like the military folks, or maybe the Secret Service, but I don't know, they were dressed in uniform and stuff, and they were like locked together, and they had closed all the doors, so you couldn't get to the food room anymore or any of the other rooms that were open. The only room you could go into was the room where Trump was going to come into, and then you were just kind of like in the foray kind of hall, and so he walked right by, and so like, okay. So he walked by and went around the room to get to the podium and started addressing everybody. So when he was talking, I wasn't even in the room anymore. And so I was like, I've been here twice. I've heard him speak a lot. I don't I didn't want to word my way back to my original spot because it was just kind of tough because we were all packed in together like sardines, and there were people who were moving in between different folks who weren't going back to their original spots. They just wanted to get as close as possible, and that was annoying. That was really annoying. And there are some people who are doing it who I knew, and I'm just like, can you not shove your way in between me and my sister and separate us? And so somebody was like kind of moving in front of my sister. They're like, oh, are you okay? And I'm just like looking at her. I'm like, you can say that you're not fine. You can say that you're not fine. And there's this one guy, I didn't know him. Some people that I knew him. And all I knew is he's kind of tall. He was a cop. And he was trying to like push past me to get closer. And I wouldn't really move. And then he seemed annoyed because I wouldn't move. And he was like trashing other tall folks, like kind of maybe friendly, but it's still antagonistic or whatever. Like, oh, y'all so tall and y'all blocking everybody. Like, yeah, y'all need to get behind. And I'm like, you're squeezing your way trying to get in front of like women who are like 5'3", 5'4", 5'5", and I'm 5'8", but like my sister is like 5'5", and I'm like, bro, like chill out. And so he's all up on me, and I had to turn around and say, dude, like you need to back up off me. And so I was getting frustrated, like being all tightly packed. And then he started saying like a bunch of rude stuff, like, "Man, there's a bunch of big backs in here. We need to get RFK Jr. in here." and he was just so obnoxious, and then he ended up leaving. So, but yeah, so I wasn't in the room when like Tiger Woods came in and Trump said a speech, but I wasn't in that exact room. I was in the room over, and then I saw him like walk by when he like exited again. And so I did see Sage Steele. I met Sage Steele at the inauguration. I get a picture with her because I mean I already got a picture. I'm not a huge picture taker. That's not a good thing, I guess, when I do socials. Um, I need to be more consistent. I try to be better about that when I came to the to White House this time, but I'm not great with the picture taking. And I didn't even get a picture with David Harris Jr. because we were together in line for so long. And I want to be like after the fact, like, oh, by the way, I've seen some of your videos. Can I take a picture? It just seemed a little weird, a little awkward to me. So I didn't um bother. Kit Kat said, "Wow, dang, the lack of manners for some people." Yeah, it was a shame. Like everybody's like, "Oh, it's so amazing!" It was amazing. It was an honor to be there, but like I didn't love everybody who was there, who was there, and it was um that guy was really frustrating because he was like really pushing on me. Like he'd move his. I'm not saying he was like touching me on purpose in different areas, but like he was too close. And he shouldn't have been there because he like you were late getting in the room. You're trying to like weasel way your way up. There's no space for you to move up there. Just like chill out. Like my sister Tina, she stayed in the room, but she couldn't see Trump. Like she had to watch everything from people's phones because everyone's holding up their phones, and even like the press, because there's like some they're like kind of on risers, but not too high, like across the room a little bit. And they have their big like lens cameras, but it's hard for them to even see because there's so many people and so many people like raising their cameras. And then they like someone like had even like said to the people like, hey, the press is trying to take photos, and everybody's just like, we're all trying to take photos, like chill out, you're like not special. So so she was like watching everything from and that and that's another thing. Like they were trying to see everything go on, and the only way that they could see was through people's phones. And so at one point in time, she was watching a phone that was recording like another phone that was watching what was going. It was kind of Inception a bit. So so she was in the room when all that went down. My sister Gina, she had hurt her foot after the inauguration, so she decided to wear heels that day. Um, but she couldn't stand for that long. She certainly couldn't have stood in that room for 2 hours while we were held together like sardines. And so she went to go sit down, and so there wasn't a lot of places to sit down, but there was places to sit down like where the food was. So she was in the food room like the whole time the ceremony was going on, and they closed those doors pretty early, and so you couldn't get back in. So we couldn't go see her, and she couldn't get out because for security reasons they had closed those doors. And so and mind you, while all this was going on, me and my sister Tina, we had not eaten because before we got to that room, we were taking photos, we were talking to people, and we hadn't made our way in that room yet. And I had been talking about the White House. I'm like, they had some good lamb at the White House. It was good lamb. It's probably some of the best lamb that I've had. Like I've had other lamb since then. I don't the lamb I had before, it was maybe better than what I had it now, it was cold. But um the they had a private chef on inauguration day at the BCF house. So that was a really good lamb. I don't know. The White House lamb was still very good. So, but we just we wanted something to eat. We were hungry. We wait all the time. And so after Trump had left, they did open those doors. And so me and my sister like rushed for the room. And I don't know why they let us get past because they turned other people away. But got inside because at first I was like, "Can you save us some food or something?" And so we were able to get some stuff, and then they started like clearing us out. of that room, and I'm like, they're if they're clearing us out of this room, they're about to like shut everything down after Trump was talking because they don't let you just stay and linger in the White House forever. So after about 30 minutes after that ceremony was done, I think that's when they like start pushing us out, like go downstairs, go to coat check, like be gone in a very nice way. They're all very polite as they usher you out the door. So yeah, it was a nice event. Got to have good conversations with a lot of amazing patriots who worked very hard. A lot of people who were there were just like it's good to be back in the White House. Um Donald Trump mentioning that he wants to do this like Hall of Heroes or with different athletes there. The statues and stuff was pretty cool. I could play a. I'm sure you guys have probably seen clips from the event by now, but I could play one. Something that was interesting though. There's a pastor called his name is Jamal Bryant. He's very vocal. He's I would say a joke though, serial adulterer, just a lot of issues with him. Um, and I'd have to look at you suspect if you're going to his church anyway. But he was very pro Harris, very anti Trump. So he's made a lot of comments, and he's made some recent comments that I'm sure prompted what happened in the White House. So I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures, and I don't have like a one that I had easily available to pull up, but someone had a cut out image of Jamal Bryant to like hold up in the White House. And I was very close to like the people who were like holding it up. And while we were like waiting for Trump to appear, like people were having fun, like doing Snapchats and TikToks and in Instagram story reels and all kinds of different stuff. And there was a lot of people trying to chant "They not like us," and other things like that. But it was a very energetic atmosphere from a lot of different people. But I did think the Jamal Bryant head thing was kind of funny. And so he was upset about that. So I'll play him being upset about it. But let me quickly just show a couple other things. Let me um show you a view from like the front. Now these people were in the front. I wasn't in the very very front. I was close to it. But
let me fix my bow tie. We at the White House. We back in here. We waiting on President Donald J. Trump. Let's go. Yeah.
so yeah, there's like a lot of videos like that. I This woman in red, I was unfamiliar with her, but I actually read some of her tweets recently on the show, because she was complaining about the, double standard with the Ashley St. Clair, Elon baby mama drama. So I recognized her, so she started coming to my feed recently, and she had said something about being at the White House. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I just saw her." We didn't really speak, we just kinda, like, smiled at each other, just kind of acknowledgement, but we didn't really talk. The tall guy is David Harris Jr., who was right behind me in line. He was like pretty much at the front. I was close to this. I don't think you can see me in this video at all. And Topher was right near the front. And I don't know if this is before I came in the room or not, because I think you should be able to see me if I was in the room, but I don't think you could see me there. I did see other people that I just didn't talk to. Like I saw Rob Smith was there. Yeah. Um uh Harris Faulkner was there. I did not get a chance to meet Harris Faulkner. That would have been neat if I was. Um so let me Let me play this clip of Trump, and then I will get to the Jamal Bryant stuff.
My first administration, one of my first meetings, there wasn't this large a crowd, Tiger. We had about 5 people in the front. Maybe five black people right in the front, right about there. I said, is anybody is this it? Are we open? I don't even think Tim Scott, I know Turner wasn't there. I don't think Tim Scott was there either. But that's all changed, and we got the highest vote, and
that's funny. He's exaggerating, but I know I was there twice. So maybe if he's talking about the very first one, like in 2017, if he had one, I don't know how many people might have been there. I don't think I was there in 2017. I think it was there in 2018 and 2019. And of course, 2020, everything was shut down. So yeah, so that's funny. He's very funny.
The big reasons I'm president today is because of the black vote, and I just and I always appreciate it. So this is a very special time. It's Black History Month. We love you all. We're going to work with you. We're going to make America greater than ever before. Do it together. And I want to thank you all for being here. It's an incredible honor. And to my great golfing friends, I want to thank them in particular because they really are. They make a lot of money. They don't have to be up here with me. Tiger doesn't have to be here. Adam doesn't have to. They don't need this. But they love you and they love our country. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and just, goes off in the room and goes through the rooms and zooms past us in the hall to exit. And then I don't know where he went from there, but yeah, but you see how many phones were up there, like in the side of like the cameras. So there's just phones like everywhere and everybody reaching and some people being quite tall and stuff. So anyway, Jamal Bryant, there was like a giant head of his that people were like holding in the room and stuff. So I'm sure that was prompted by different rants that he went on. And this one's from the White House was the 20th. On the 15th, someone posted this video of him going off. So he said other things. But if you don't know Jamal Bryant, here's some stuff he said.
Come on, Public Enemy. I came to tell white supremacists. I came to tell MAGA. I came to tell white privilege. We coming, we coming, we coming. We coming, we coming. God said, when you give me glory, I'm going to run them out of the State Department. If you give me glory, I'm going to run them out of Congress and run them out of Senate. If you give me glory, I'm going to run them off of your job and run them off of your classroom. I need you to take your neighbor's hand and say, neighbor, we got to shout like we got faith. Come on, Public Enemy.
Okay.
To tell whites.
Yeah. Someone say he breathes like my bulldog. It's called tuning. I mean, the breathing, you don't necessarily have to breathe like that, but the sort of like rhythm is it's called tuning. It's a I don't know, a technique, I guess. I don't really tune myself, not because there's anything wrong with it. It's kind of like a staple in a charismatic, or I don't know, it's just charismatic, but kind of churches and stuff, and black churches, and I don't know, I think my style is kind of more teaching, like even when I'm like, this one's about to be a banger, and it's just kind of delivered not in a tuning sort of way, but yeah, that's what that is a little bit. But the anyway, he had comments about the head.
I feel bad for them coons in the White House who are in there tap dancing for massa, wearing bow ties, shinning and grinding, laughing like nothing is funny. I ain't afraid of the spooks that sat at the door. These runaway slaves hiding in the White House gonna throw my picture up thinking that I'm gonna be afraid.
Okay, so he actually shows it in the background of his church, so you can see that must be a David Harris Jr. video, but behind in the backdrop you can see like the cutout of him. My sister said, "Were you tap dancing, Christina?" Not after all the time waiting for Trump to show up. My feet hurt. My feet hurt, man. He couldn't get me to tap dance. So this is it's so inappropriate to say all these things from the pulpit. He also complained about Donald Trump firing the joint chief of staff Brown, which they're saying, oh, it's racist to get rid of him, but Trump hired him. So if you hire a black person, you can never fire them, or you're racist. Do you get points for hiring them if they're black? Like, is it like, because if he got points for hiring him and they got rid of him, is it just not like neutral? It's just he got no points for that. And now he's in the negative. It doesn't seem like that math is kind of mathing. But yeah, they've been asked about this, and people have been digging up things about him and Brown, and that sound a bit woke. And the White House was asked about it, and they're just like, he wasn't doing a good job anymore, and Trump wanted to shake things up at the Pentagon. So simple answer enough. But Jamal Bryant, he's I don't know, I would think a bit of a joke, but it's funny how people always talk about evangelicals and right wing, extremism and Christian nationalism and etc., but they don't have anything to say when these black churches are very, very pro-Democrat, very, very pro, politics and talking about stuff all the time. Our church used to talk more about politics and stuff, but we toned it down quite a bit. My dad was like pretty bad about it, but in the past, but we don't really, people are aware of the issues and know how to vote accordingly to what aligns with their faith, but we don't have to like spell it out with an airplane in the sky writing it, but it's just interesting how this kind of stuff is usually off the table when they talk about Christian influence. They want to show up at Jamal Bryant's church and get the vote and whatnot, but it's wrong when it's a conservative leaning church. It's just funny what the double standard is. But this is really inappropriate. The sort of things that he was saying, the tap dancing and cooning, and not just inappropriate on the pulpit, just inappropriate, period. If you have a difference of opinion with anyone, but you could say your fellow Black Americans, just like have a conversation. Why don't you actually see what the difference is? Why don't you actually see why they've come to the conclusion that they're at? Why just assume that they're cooning? I'm not saying there's not people grifting. Like we had a conversation last week. One of the episodes was about grifting and how people will switch sides or people will say stuff and they're in it for clicks and views and etc. So there's people like that. There's people like that on both sides who say all the wackest, dumbest, craziest stuff for cash. Okay, so is that something that's just on the right? It's not something that's just on the left. So I'm not going to ignore the fact that those people exist. And I think there's some people who aren't maybe as open, as honest as how they feel about different things because they want to be in the right circles, MAGA circles or whatever, don't want blowback or whatever. There was somebody the other day, I was talking to my sister, I'm like, I think this person is like way too much like up Trump's butt, like about some of the stuff that they say and how, and how much kind of a people pleaser they are. And so it's not that I don't believe that there aren't people who aren't influenced one way to say one thing or another. But FYI, there are people who are literally lying about Joe Biden and how well he was doing. Oh, he's running circles around everyone. There's a lot of people who are embellishing. We'll say embellish to be kind. Different facts to make their leaders look good. But to the shucking and jiving as if it's traitorous to be a Republican, or if it's traitorous to go to the White House, and traitorous to have a seat at the table, to have, the ear of the president or influence with the president. I'm not saying that I necessarily do, but there's people in the room who do, who have influence with people who's around him, who, get to have those conversations. Like I've seen Terrence at Mar-a-Lago and other places, it's nice that these people who, have come a mighty long way and worked hard to get to where they are, and they know the president. That's a pretty neat thing. Like I don't know where Alex O'Connor stands on politics in America, but he's like, oh my gosh, it's cool you're going to the White House. It's cool he has 1 million followers. That's pretty darn neat to me. But he's like, oh, it's cool you're going to the White House. Oh wow. It's just a cool thing. It's at the very least, it's a cool thing. I had posted a clip of me and my sisters right before we went inside the White House, and we're like, if you believe that they're canceling Black History Month, I said that was always dumb. It was a very short video. I posted it on, I think, on all my socials, and there were some comments like, "Don't do it. Trump is just using you." Let's see if I can find it real quick. And some people was like, oh, look at those matching smiles. I'm like, yeah, we're related. Our smiles look similar. We have gaps. I don't dislike my gap. You guys are so weird for mentioning it. And people are calling us Auntie Toms and things like that. And I am a right-wing conservative. I am a traditional conservative. I am more conservative than Trump, maybe most people who were at the White House. At the end of the day, I don't think these people really have an issue with me. With Trump, I think they have an issue with me. And if they want to debate on the issues and talk about them and see where I land and why I land there, and you don't agree with those things, that's fine. But Trump is just like the face of who they've decided to be like a totem of all the things they hate. There's a lot of people who talk about Trump. There's a lot of reasons to not like Trump, don't get me wrong. But a lot of reasons that people have that aren't even true. They don't make sense. Like I saw somebody the other day talk about, oh, Trump's a felon. And I said, why don't you explain the felonies? Like, well, why don't you Google all the things that he did and all the different felonies? And I'm like, I know you didn't even bother to Google because you don't even know that he was charged like 34 times for like the same thing. And I'm like, and you don't know how to explain how he actually committed a felony because the case was bogus anyway. So I'm not offended. I'm offended that the justice system was so unjust toward him. Like it's not a negative toward him. It's a negative toward our system, and it just leads credibility to what he and Elon and other folks are doing with mixing everything up because their system is broken and it does need reform. And it does need to be taken apart and put back together again because people have abused it to benefit their side. And they're mad because Trump isn't just sitting there and taking it. Okay? So, I'm sorry. Chit chat trying to get to the short that I posted. Okay. See if there's someone said pitiful and trifling. You just won't stop getting played by the con man. I don't you don't know what's in my heart, you don't know what's in my mind, you don't know why I supported him the way that I supported him. It's not, and if you follow me, which you guys do if you're watching live and stuff, you know that I list my grievances, things that I'm upset about. when it comes to him, you know, it's not like I'm walking through life with blinders on, just blindly following this dude. But at the end of the day, they had a crap candidate, like the Democrats, and they're not getting better. They're not getting better. Uh, so I'm not the one who got played. I made the best decision for myself, for my family, for the country, for Christians, for the unborn, for everybody, everybody. Alex said Kamala was the worst. She was like, that was their fault. That was their fault. So it's a wow, idiots. So why would you step into the same place as a racist, prejudiced idiot? Most people who keep saying stuff like that don't even have like real reasons to why they think that he's actually racist. And one of the first things they'll list is like the Central Park 5, which I have an article on my website that addresses that. I have to do like another video, but it's just usually a bunch of silly stuff. But like it Joe it's funny, like if I was at the White House last year and posted a video of me going into the White House, how many comments do you think you would see from folks saying, "Oh, why would you go there with that racist person?" And many of them would probably think that Joe Biden is racist because they don't like the 94 crime bill and other different things. Um, but I had a list of racist things Joe Biden did. I put on a T-shirt, but the "You Ain't Black" comment was pretty racist, for example. But they wouldn't be calling you Uncle Toms and all this kind of different stuff for going to the White House. With that dude, I would say was racist. There's far more evidence of Joe Biden being racist than Trump. Far more evidence. Far more evidence. But you wouldn't see those kind of comments. It just goes one way. Some people said nice to see it. Someone said you changed my perspective, so thank you. But thank you so much for what you do. That was so very sweet. Someone said so sad. Someone said beautiful fam. God bless. Uncle Tamiko's. I have no sort of respect for people who are ignorant and disrespectful toward the legacy of Uncle Tom's Cabin, a book that did far more to free and advance Black people than they could ever dream. So don't just I know that it has a negative connotation with that term, but anyone who uses it in a negative sort of way, I view them to be ignorant and disrespectful, and I just have a pity for you, I guess. Someone had said Premium USA. Someone said Black History Month should be canceled. Won't change my mind. I think Black History Month, unlike a lot of other month things that we celebrate, like there's like a Pacific Asian island heritage month or like Hispanic heritage month and stuff. Black History Month appears to me, at least how it's always been celebrated since I've been a kid, has been very focused on American history. And I think that's a good thing. You could say, well, we should be like so into American history that we shouldn't feel that we would need a Black History Month, and that's a fair criticism or whatever. But it's not about like reaching back into all the way back to Africa or something and celebrating any Black person around the world. To me, it's always been like Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, like, George Washington Carver. Like it's all very American history based. And so I've always thought that was a better history month than some of the other ones they've invented as of late. That are like, oh, this is about your heritage. It's like it's not about Black heritage. It's Black history, and I don't know how people view it around the world or whatever, but to me, it's always been very Black America focused. So I think it's a good month, or it has been at least presented to me. But I don't know, things are different now, obviously more woke than they used to be. Yeah, I had mostly good comments on this. Someone did say I would not go. He is just doing this for show. he's done it a couple times. I've been there. So you could say it's for show, but I guess I've been part of the show for a few times now. I but here's the thing though. Donald Trump, it's not like he hasn't tried to reach out to the Black community, hasn't done things that the Black community has asked him to do, like the criminal justice reform that he passed. Like Van Jones was up there crying and because he got to work on it, and he's also upset that it got passed, and then he's all like anti-Trump afterwards. But that was something that people were asking him to do, pushing for him to do, and he did it. And like, how much joy and praise does he get from the folks who are pushing it from the left? You know, not much. He's still terrible, no good. Oh, he's just doing stuff for show. What about the platinum plan that he was really pushing in 2020? And they were sending representatives to pitch it during the election time, Black Voices for Trump buses, to talk about the platinum plan, different things that were in it. He met with Ice Cube, Ice T, gosh, one of those rappers, to talk about this stuff. What was it? It was Ice Cube. I said Ice T. Ice Cube. And to talk about the platinum plan and stuff, and Joe Biden's team didn't even want to meet with him, but he met with Trump and they got the stuff together, was pitching it. And this is another thing I was talking about with some fellow Black conservatives on Wednesday night. Like, Trump was fully like ready to push that. Now, I'm not saying Republicans would have went along with it, because that was a big bill that he was pushing. But at the end of the day, folks were like, "No, we're good. We're gonna take, you know, Joe Biden. We'll take the old racist man over here, and we will not take your platinum plan." That seemed pretty incredible to me. And folks are like, "Oh, Trump's just doing it for show." I think at this point in time, we're fortunate that he does care and is still pitching himself to the Black community, because he's still trying, and he has done stuff, but they don't want to give him any credit. Don't want to give him any darn credit. But he's definitely done things to try to appease and reach out. I was at that rally in he was on the, it wasn't quite, it was the west side of the state, but I don't think it was that far out, the west side of the state. And he said to Black Americans, he's like, "What do you have to lose?" I was at that rally. I was, if he moved his head, you could see me standing right behind, or sitting right behind him, or standing right behind him, or whatever. And I remember turning to my friend, and she was Asian, and we were just like, very bold, like, just go ahead and ask the question. Like, what do you have to lose? Like, I want your vote. Like, they've been crap to you. You should try something new, like Donald Trump. And other groups, the Latinos, they're bumping heads with the Democrats, and they're going in a different direction. I don't know exactly what it's going to take for the Black community to get on board, but I am happy that I am seeing more people more often, and on Twitter and on TikTok and other places, popping up and saying that they're in support of Trump, or they're in support of Republicans and conservative values, or whatever. And that's a good thing that people are making that switch. I wish that was happening faster, but it is happening at a rate that is alarming to Democrats, for sure. Now they could be like, "Well, Black women are always loyal. Black women are always loyal." For now, some of them, like I'm in the 8% of Black women that decided to say no to the Democrat Party. Hopefully there's more of us very soon. Hopefully there's more. But if name calling hasn't stopped me in 35 years, like what do you think it's going to do now? It's you can't shame me out of my position. The last thing I'll say before I close it down, and I've gone longer than I anticipated. So, but hold it on. There's a trend right now on TikTok from a film. I guess it's been in black, and because the audio is like Will Smith asking, "Is it worth it?" And Tommy Lee Jones says, "Yes, if you're strong enough." And there's different creators say using that sound, and they're just saying to all the people who are saying like is it worth it to support Republicans or worth it to support Trump with all the nasty things that people from your own communities will say about you, and they say yes, if you're strong enough, it is worth it to go against the grain and to not just tap dance for everyone else who says you should behave a certain way and vote a certain way. The irony about the things that they say is that they are the ones who are guilty of it, who are trying to control people by using social shame. And they should be socially shaming about things like Jamal Bryant, him sleeping around and being an adulterer. That's what they should be socially shaming people about, not voting for someone who was going to close the border and knows that boys should be girl sports. Okay? And we're talking about who has the correct perspective on social shame. So he can say that people are tap dancing or whatever. But he's the one who's just going against, with the same formation that they've been saying that you have to go, you have to be aligned, or you're a traitor. That's psychotic. That's psychotic. What has the Democrat Party done to gain that, to be worthy of that sort of support? It certainly wasn't freeing the slaves. That was the other party that I'm in. What was it? Was it civil rights? Not really, bro. Not really. So like what was it? What was it? Oh, y'all think the party switched? Nah, the same party that still dehumanizes people and say that some people get rights and other people don't get rights. Y'all the same freaking party. You're the same people, okay? And if we got to tear down institutions like critical race theory folks talk about, if you want to tear down a racist institution, they should have started with the Democrat Party and rebuild something else. But they just kept chugging along and convinced y'all that they switched parties and all the sins are forgiven. And if you leave the Democrat Party, then you're a traitor. Because I don't know, LBJ said once upon a time, I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 100 years or however long he said. And y'all just got in formation. You Negroes just got in formation. Whatever. So I'm not the one who's shucking and driving, okay? I'm not the one who's shucking and driving. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the tales of what happened at the White House. It was a good time overall. I was glad, it's always an honor to go. The next day I did go to a luncheon for the Black Conservative Federation, but I had such a bad sinus headache that I will spare you the details of how sick that I was. But on the way back home, we left the luncheon and just drove back home, and my youngest sister Tina and my oldest sister Gina, they drove the whole way back home. I was like in the back sleeping. I couldn't eat anything because I couldn't keep it down, and I had a heat thing on my head because my sinus was so bad. And I wasn't even like on my phone. I was just mostly like sleeping, and like I didn't type anything on my phone. I didn't try to shoot any videos. I like scrolled a little bit through Twitter, but that was about it. I was out. Like I would wake up every so often to hear them say, "Poor baby." Poor baby. Like they felt bad because I just started getting like sinus headaches and stuff about a year or so ago, and it sucks. It sucks. I could have kept, God, you could have kept that. I don't know what that's about, but anyway, made it back home safely. Um you know, so good times. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. Go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation at the website because it does cost a stream and run the site, all the good stuff you guys can support. I very much appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being back here live and even through all my stuffy nose, which is not that stuffy. It's just, I don't know, draining or whatever. But it's just tickle in my throat that's killing me. That's the thing that's just driving me up a wall. I hate it so much. Like my nose isn't really that stuffy. It's a little congested, but it's that tickle. It's driving me crazy. But hopefully I'll get some good sleep tonight and hopefully be one step closer to better. You guys can check out different merch on the website. And make sure you guys check out my books. I have 18 altogether. One of them is, of course, God is blatantly against abortion. I saw Tina was in the chat. I don't know if she's still here. And I saw somebody was in the chat that they said that they follow Tina. So I do thank you guys. Like I know I mentioned my siblings and stuff, and I'm proud of them. They're proud of me. And so I know some of you do watch her live. So I appreciate you guys supporting her. And I hope you guys will check out some of her art and pick some of that stuff up too as well. So anyway, thank you guys. And I will see you tomorrow. If not, I will let you guys know, but I plan to stream tomorrow because I really, 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 really want to talk about this woke Christian stuff. I've got so many things to say. God bless you guys.